The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Hello and welcome to another edition of The Gloves Are Off. I'm Moses Woldu, and it's our first September show of 2016.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Time flies, doesn't it? Because hockey season's just around the corner.
Did it ever leave?
That's true. The RBC Cup just wrapped up pretty much in late May, and then we've all of a sudden seen ID camps and what along the way. So, Andrew, how's it going, man? You've been covering quite a bit of it.
Trying not to. Trying to keep that last moment of summer still alive, but it's back.
The winter's changing. The leaves are beginning to change color, and fall.
I had to turn the heat on yesterday. I didn't want to. My other half did, so I'm stuck with heat in my house now.
Well, you know what? There's a guy beside you that might be turning up the heat when it comes to over-under, and we'll play that game in the future. But first, we got to introduce a man. Yes. Thank you, sir. Trevor, you are no short of flattery, and I'll return the favor. A guy who is, especially on behind the scenes, helping out the Bobcats as a manager there, as the business side. On top of that, you are also the play-by-play man for the Bobcats. Usually solo. You have your guy occasionally, but
boy Shane.
Yeah, but and he's been on the show too as well. So you got to represent as much as possible. I want to thank you for joining us as well.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, dude. We will get things going. We'll talk about the hockey in a little bit, but first I want to talk about what happens on Labor Day. And of course, there's nothing bigger in Canada than CFL football. Of course, the game on Sunday with the Riders and Bombers, and we'll begin with that game because obviously as a Rider fan, I was ticked off. There's for many reasons, but one play in particular, when it looked like Weston Dressler clearly was not, I guess, interfered with. It looked like Jeff Knox did get underneath and make the play to get the interception. In turn, it was actually ruled the PI. Riders couldn't challenge because good old Chris Jones decided to use his challenges early, and the Riders ended up losing that game 28-25. With all that said, did that call by the referee cost the Riders the win?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. I mean, the long answer is there were a ton of factors involved, but you look, if they made the call right, and it clearly the video shows that call was wrong, if they got it right, the Riders win, and I don't think there's much arguing that. But Tyler Krapigna misses 2 field goals, misses an extra point. They gave the Bombers a 16-point lead in the second half, had to claw back from in a game that they haven't lost. They haven't lost the Labor Day Classic since 2004, I think. So there's a lot of factors that went into it, but ultimately, if that call was correct, they won. It is that simple.
11-game win streak snapped, like you said. Andrew,
but it wasn't, though. They were tied. So who knows what had happened after that? They still could have lost.
A little presumptive on my part, I guess.
But nevertheless, you want the opportunity to win. It seemed like the referees, and again, you mentioned a lot of factors. I still think that the referees did botch this one.
It happens. Don't leave 7 points on the field.
Are they directly responsible for the Riders losing this game, I should say?
Are the refs?
Yes.
I don't know, because we don't know what's going to happen afterwards. Was it a call? You say it is. You say it is. I don't know. You left 7 points on the field. You could have won the game 40 seconds ago. You could have won the game more time. Like, you can't leave 7 points and then blame the referee and say, oh, it's the ref's fault. You left 7 points. It's not like it's like, oh, you left 1 point on the board and that was, that's a huge thing. You left 7. That's like the touchdown. You left an entire score on the board, and now you want to blame the referee for not winning? You had the ability to easily win that game. We talk about it being tied. You don't even know. It wouldn't have been tied. You would have won the game, straight out won it, and you wouldn't have needed extra time, overtime, whatever. So, no, Riders, you want to win it cleanly. Don't be playing it with the referee.
As much as I love the Riders, and you make a good point, I have to at least give respect to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in terms of what they've done. They're now on a 5-game win streak and look to keep creeping up that West Division standings. And then you look at what Calgary did, showing their dominance. And on top of that huge come-from-behind victory from the Hamilton Tiger Cats, which showed a lot of grit and character. When you look at all the Labor Day teams and the games that happened, is there a significant statement by one team that jumps out at you?
Nothing really. I'm not taking a pass. I just don't think anything really stood out. Teams that were supposed to win won. Teams who should have easily won scraped by. There was a lot of 3-point, 4-point games. I don't think anyone really showed that, oh, we're going to make a statement in this weekend. Calgary, I guess you could say, is the one, but they're expected to win by that much over a third-place team. So I don't think anyone really cemented their place in any standing by what happened this past weekend.
Yeah, I would say Calgary did for sure, because they are, look at the standings, they're clearly the best team in the league. There's a lot of average teams. There's a certain green and white team in the Prairies that's trailing everybody else, but Calgary's the one team that's a cut above, and they won a Labor Day game against a divisional rival. They're clearly better than the Eskimos. Everybody knew that coming in, but they destroyed them, and that was a statement game, and I think they'll continue to make that statement right through to the end of the year.
Okay. I personally think Calgary showed, yes, they are the class of the league, but even took it further, saying, you know what, you think we're good? Yeah, we'll take it up a notch and say we're even better than that.
Yeah. Well, and you got to give props to Winnipeg, too, for, like I said, 5-game win streak of putting themselves in a position now to actually be in a playoff contention, other than the Riders, gaffing the whole year.
And even hosting a playoff game in the West. This is a team that, with Matt Nichols as their QB, has now jumped to 5-0 themselves. And they've put up more points. The offense has looked great. Andrew Harris is always phenomenal as a running back and showing it once again, wearing this time
only 3
different
points
colors.
against a Riders team that's given up a bunch. That's the only, you can only win by 3 points, and you needed a referee gaff to win a game.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm sold on them. That's why I wouldn't give them a statement win. It wasn't a statement win. It was you got lucky. You got 5 wins.
You say that, then I could have said the exact same thing a few weeks ago with the Calgary Stampeders, who didn't score an offensive touchdown, or at least a passing touchdown, had to get one on the ground with Messam, and scraped by the Riders. You can make that same argument for anybody, though.
Mm-hmm. But the winners win. You look at the Riders; they're 1-9, and they've been close.
Yeah, and close doesn't get you anywhere.
They lose every game. There's something to be said about the teams that, if it's a 3-point game and it's late, whatever happens, you come out with a win more often than not. The Riders aren't doing that. Other teams are.
And the CFL, what's great is, doesn't matter where you are in the standings, it's still going to come down to the wire.
Yeah.
It's just who makes that last play that ends up winning their game. Winnipeg did that. Calgary has done that. Tiger Cats have done that. And it continues for those teams who've had success. Let's quickly move on to On the Move. A couple big names decided to go elsewhere, not by choice. Some were cut and then all of a sudden brought back to their respective NFL teams, Justin Forsett being one of those guys, which seems odd, but it makes sense in terms of the dollars and cents. The one guy I thought should not be on a roster, or at least in the NFC East, was Mark Sanchez. I thought he could have gone somewhere else that would have been a little bit better. But anyways, my question for you guys is there a player that you saw that either made a move or is still a free agent that should be playing or shouldn't be playing? Either side.
You know what? I don't know. I think what you see on cutdown day is a lot of running backs and wide receivers that have either had a good year or came in with a lot of hype at some point. And a couple years ago when Roy Shivers was with the Rough Riders, he said something about running backs are a dime a dozen. I could fly to the States today and step on one. They're everywhere. And it's simple as that. Those skill positions that are the glamorous ones, you look at Tennessee, they let go of Justin Hunter, Bishop Sankey, and I think another skill guy.
Dexter McCluster.
Yeah, Dexter McCluster, exactly. A guy like Jaquiz Rogers, I think he was with the Bears or something.
Yeah, Bears, and he got released.
All these kind of name guys, but they're so replaceable. You'll say, yes, they should be on the team just because of name value, but there's so many guys fighting for those jobs.
And it's always interesting looking, especially when we play fantasy football and you look from that perspective and you're thinking, oh, that guy was good 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, we were all fighting for a Sankey or a McCluster 2 years ago as a fill-in role. Now he's not on a team. Forsett, you had to assume, was either getting re-signed or going somewhere. He's still, at 31, still a good back. He's not a long-term solution, but you had to expect he was going somewhere.
But he shows how transient that position is, because he was nobody for the first 5 years of his career. He's a backup to, I think he was in Houston, backup to Arian Foster maybe, and then he's been around a couple places. All of a sudden, the whole Ray Rice, yada, yada, yada happened, and he comes in and he takes off with the job at 28 years old, and now he's a household name. But it goes as quick as it came.
Yep.
All right, guys, we're going to take a commercial break. We'll still stick with the NFL theme when we come back, talk about which team will have a big impact in 2016.